The autumn wind whispered through the narrow streets of Millbrook, a small industrial town where hope often felt like a distant memory. Emma Williams stood by her apartment window, her reflection a silent testament to years of quiet endurance. At 52, her hands told stories of hard work, calloused and worn. They had known factory machines, household chores, and countless moments of struggle. The room was small but neat, every corner carefully arranged to mask the financial hardship that had become her constant companion. A faded photograph of Robert, her late husband, watched from the side table. He had been gone for 5 years now, taking with him not just his love but the steady income that had kept their modest life together. The textile factory where Emma had worked for 27 years had closed suddenly, leaving her and hundreds of other workers with nothing but memories and unemployment. Her pension was barely enough to cover the basic necessities. Each month was a careful dance of cutting costs, choosing between heating and food, between medicine and electricity. Loneliness was perhaps her most persistent companion. The neighborhood had changed. Young families had moved away and the older generation was slowly disappearing. Emma's daughter Elizabeth lived in the city, her visits becoming less frequent, her phone calls shorter. The silence of the apartment was sometimes so thick that Emma could hear her own heartbeat. But Emma was not a woman who would surrender easily. Her mother, a strong-willed woman who had raised 3 children during economic hardships, had taught her that life was about resilience. "Strength isn't about never falling," she would say. "It's about rising every time you fall." One rainy afternoon, while sorting through old documents, Emma discovered a community college brochure that had arrived in her mailbox. Most people her age would have tossed it aside, but something caught her eye. Computer skills course. Basics, digital literacy. The words seemed to pulse with possibility. Her fingers, usually hesitant, traced the course details. She remembered how technology had always seemed like a foreign language to her. Computers were machines that her younger colleagues used, machines that had slowly replaced human workers in her factory. But now, they seemed like a potential lifeline. The cost of the course made her hesitate. Every penny counted. Her savings were minimal, carefully preserved for emergencies. But something inside her, a spark of determination perhaps, pushed her to consider it seriously. Emma thought about her life. She had always been a worker, always been practical, but now, with years of experience and wisdom, couldn't she learn something new? Couldn't she prove to herself that age was just a number? Her arthritis made writing difficult, but her spirit remained unbroken. She remembered Robert's encouraging words from years ago. "Emma, you're the strongest woman." "I know." Those words echoed in her mind, giving her courage. The apartment around her seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Outside, the autumn leaves danced in the wind, symbolizing change and renewal. They fell, only to rise again with the next gust, much like Emma's own life. She walked to her small desk, pulled out an old notebook, and began to write down her thoughts. The registration form for the computer course lay beside her, an invitation to a potential new chapter. Millbrook might be a town that had seen better days, where factories had closed and dreams had faded, but Emma Williams was not going to be another statistic. She was going to learn, grow, and prove that life doesn't end at 50, it simply transforms. With trembling but determined hands, she picked up a pen. The first step of her journey was about to begin. Her cat, an old tabby named Whiskers, watched her from the windowsill, as if understanding that something important was happening. The world outside continued its rhythm. Cars passing, distant, sounds of life, the gentle rustling of leaves. Emma took a deep breath. Tomorrow, she would take the first step towards her new adventure. The end note. This part is written in approximately 800 words, using simple and basic English, focusing on Emma's quiet struggle and her emerging determination to change her life. The narrative is in third-person style, creating an emotional yet accessible story about resilience and hope. The community college building stood like a beacon of possibility on a crisp Monday morning. Emma clutched her worn handbag, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and terror. She had never imagined herself walking into a classroom again, especially at her age. The hallway seemed impossibly long. Young students moved around her, their backpacks heavy with books and technology. Some glanced at her with curiosity, others with quick, almost dismissive looks. Emma felt like an outsider, a relic from another time trying to fit into a world that had moved on without her. Mr. Thompson, the computer skills instructor, was a kind-looking man in his early 40s. His welcoming smile made Emma's nervousness slightly more bearable. The classroom was filled with rows of computers, each screen a window to a world Emma had never fully understood. "Welcome, everyone," Mr. Thompson began. "Today, we'll start with the basics of computer literacy." Emma's hands trembled as she touched the keyboard. The last time she had used a computer was years ago at the factory, and those machines were nothing like these sleek, modern devices. Her fingers felt clumsy, her movements uncertain. The first task seemed simple enough, creating an email account. But for Emma, it felt like solving a complex puzzle. Each click brought a moment of panic. What if she pressed the wrong button? What if she broke something? Next to her, a young woman named Rachel noticed Emma's struggle. Instead of laughing or showing frustration, she leaned over and offered a gentle explanation. "It's okay," Rachel said softly. "Everyone starts somewhere." Those words meant more to Emma than Rachel could have known. They were a lifeline, a reminder that learning had no age limit. By the end of the first class, Emma had managed to create an email account and send a simple message to herself. It wasn't much, but to her, it felt like climbing a mountain. Her hands, usually steady from years of factory work, were shaking with a different kind of excitement now. Mr. Thompson approached her after class. "You're doing remarkably well," he said, noticing her determination. "Most people your age wouldn't even attempt this." Emma remembered her husband Robert's words. He had always believed in continuous learning. "Life doesn't stop when you get older," he would say. "It just changes direction." Walking home, Emma felt different. The world seemed a little brighter, a little more hopeful. She had taken her first step into a new world of technology and possibility. At home, she carefully wrote down everything she had learned. Whiskers the cat watched her, tail swishing with curiosity. Emma realized she was going to tell her daughter Elizabeth about her new adventure. Perhaps this would bridge the distance that had grown between them. The computer skills course was more than just learning technology. It was about proving to herself that she could adapt, that she could grow. Each challenge was a small victory, each new skill a testament to her strength. That night, Emma looked at the photograph of Robert. "I'm doing it," she whispered. "I'm moving forward." The street outside her apartment was quiet, but inside, something powerful was happening. Emma was rewriting her story, one computer lesson at a time. She thought about the other students in her class. Some seemed surprised by her presence, but most were supportive. In this small classroom, age didn't matter. What mattered was the desire to learn, to grow, to understand. Her arthritis made typing difficult, but her spirit was stronger than any physical limitation. Each keystroke was a defiance of the limitations that society often places on older people. Emma realized that this journey was about more than just learning computers. It was about reclaiming her confidence, about showing the world that potential has no expiration date. As she prepared for bed, a small smile played on her lips. Tomorrow would be another day of learning, another step towards her new future. The endnote. This part is written in approximately 800 words using simple and basic English in a third-person narrative style. It focuses on Emma's first computer class, her challenges, and her emerging confidence, maintaining an emotional and inspirational tone. The local library became Emma's second home. Its quiet corners and rows of books offered her a sense of peace she had long forgotten. Her new computer skills made her valuable, and she had started working part-time, helping visitors navigate the digital world. Mrs. Peterson, the head librarian, had been impressed by Emma's rapid learning. "You're a natural," she would say, watching. Emma helped elderly visitors send emails to their grandchildren or research medical information online. It was during one of these quiet afternoons that Emma met James. He was a retired teacher with kind eyes and a gentle smile that spoke of years, of patience and understanding. At first, they simply exchanged polite hellos, two older people finding comfort in the library's peaceful atmosphere. One particularly slow afternoon, James approached Emma's desk. He was struggling to scan an old photograph of his late wife. His hands, slightly shaky, couldn't quite manage the library's digital scanner. "Would you like some help?" Emma offered, her voice soft and understanding. James looked relieved. As Emma helped him with the scanner, they began to talk. He shared stories about his years of teaching, the challenges he had faced, and the joy of helping young minds grow. Emma listened, recognizing in his words the same passion she had once felt in her factory work. "Loss is a strange companion," James said quietly, looking at the photograph of his wife. "It changes you, but it doesn't define you." Emma understood completely. The loss of her husband Robert had been devastating, but she was learning that life continued, full of unexpected possibilities. Their conversation flowed easily. They discovered shared experiences, the challenge of reinventing oneself after losing a life partner, the struggle to stay relevant in a rapidly changing world, the importance of continuous learning. James began visiting the library more frequently. Sometimes he would help Emma with more complex computer tasks, sharing his knowledge of research and information gathering. Other times they would simply sit and talk, finding comfort in each other's company. The library staff noticed the growing friendship. Mrs. Peterson would smile, watching Emma and James work together, sharing stories and supporting each other. Emma's daughter Elizabeth was surprised by the change in her mother. "You sound different," she said during their weekly phone call. "More alive, more hopeful." The computer skills Emma had learned were opening up new worlds. She started helping other seniors in the community, teaching them how to stay connected with family through email and video calls. What had begun as a personal challenge was now becoming a mission. James encouraged her. "You have a gift," he would say. "You're not just teaching technology, you're teaching connection." Their friendship was unexpected, but profound. They understood each other in a way that went beyond words. Both had experienced loss, both had found the courage to start again, both were committed to living fully. Emma discovered that loneliness was a choice. With each person she helped, with each connection she made, her world expanded. The small library became a hub of learning and support. Sometimes they would sit by the library window, watching the world outside. James would share stories from his teaching days. Emma would talk about her factory years. They laughed about their struggles with modern technology, finding humor in their shared challenges. "Life is about adaptation," James would say, his eyes twinkling. "We either grow or we fade." Emma was growing. Her confidence blossomed with each passing week. The woman who had once felt invisible was now a valued member of her community, a bridge between generations. As the autumn leaves fell outside, Emma realized that her journey was about more than learning computers. It was about rediscovering herself, about finding connection in unexpected places. Whiskers waited for her at home, a silent witness to her transformation. The photograph of Robert watched from the side table, almost seeming to smile with pride. The end note. This part is written in approximately 800 words, using simple and basic English, in a third-person narrative style. It focuses on Emma's unexpected friendship with James and her growing confidence and community involvement. The community center had never seen anything quite like Emma's computer workshops. What started as a small gathering of seniors quickly became a lifeline for many who felt left behind by technology. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, Emma would arrive with her laptop, her enthusiasm brighter than the sunlight streaming through the windows. Her students were a mix of retired workers, lonely widows, and curious seniors who had never touched a computer before. "Technology isn't scary," Emma would say with a warm smile. "It's just another language we can learn." Her first Workshop had been nerve-wracking. Only 5 people showed up, looking uncertain and slightly afraid. But Emma's patience and gentle approach slowly broke down their barriers. She understood their fears because she had faced them herself. Mrs. Roberts, a 70-year-old widow, learned to video call her grandchildren who lived across the country. Mr. Thompson, a retired postman, discovered how to pay his bills online. Each small victory was celebrated with applause and shared joy. The local newspaper took notice. A young reporter named Mark visited one of the workshops, intrigued by this group of seniors transforming their lives through technology. He watched as Emma helped an elderly gentleman send his first email, her hands guiding his with incredible patience. "Digital Grandma Bridges Generations," the headline read when the story was published. Emma blushed when she saw it, but her daughter Elizabeth was bursting with pride. "Mom," Elizabeth said during their phone call, "you're becoming a local celebrity." The workshops began to attract attention from younger community members. Some came to help, others to learn from the seniors. Emma was creating more than just a computer class. She was building a community. James continued to support her, often sitting in on the workshops, sharing his own wisdom and experiences. Together, they were breaking down the invisible barriers that separated generations. The community center began to buzz with energy. What was once a quiet, almost forgotten space now became a hub of learning and connection. Seniors who had felt isolated found new ways to communicate with family and friends. One particularly memorable moment came when Mr. Peterson, a 75-year-old veteran, video called his brother whom he hadn't spoken to in years. The entire workshop watched with tears in their eyes as the brothers reconnected after decades of silence. Emma realized that her work was about more than just teaching computer skills. She was helping people rediscover their place in the world, giving them tools to stay connected, to matter. The local council took notice. They began to provide funding for more technology classes, inspired by Emma's success. What had started as a personal journey was now creating real change in the community. Her daughter Elizabeth started visiting more frequently. "I never knew you had this in you," she would say, watching her mother confidently navigate complex computer programs. The workshops expanded. They now included sessions on online safety, social media, and digital communication. Emma, who had once feared technology, was now teaching others to embrace it. Whiskers the cat seemed to sense the change in Emma. The once quiet apartment was now filled with energy, with phone calls, with excitement about upcoming workshops. Mark from the newspaper continued to follow Emma's story. He saw something special in her journey, a testament to the power of learning, of never giving up, of finding purpose at any age. "Age is just a number," Emma would tell her students. "Potential has no expiration date." The community began to see her differently. She was no longer just another older woman. She was a leader, a teacher, a bridge between generations. As winter approached, Emma looked back on her journey. From a lonely widow feeling left behind to a confident teacher breaking down technological barriers, she had transformed herself and her community. Her husband, Robert's photograph, seemed to watch her with pride. She was living the life of continuous learning he had always encouraged. The endnote. This part is written in approximately 800 words, using simple and basic English in a third-person narrative style. It focuses on Emma's computer workshops and her growing impact on the community. The morning of Emma's 55th birthday felt different. Sunlight filled her small apartment, and Whiskers the cat watched her with curious eyes as she prepared for a special day. A crisp envelope lay on the table, an invitation that would change everything, a scholarship. Not just any scholarship, but a full digital literacy certification program. The letter from the community college came with words that made Emma's hands tremble. "In recognition of exceptional community service and commitment to learning." She remembered the days when she thought her life was over. The factory closure, Robert's passing, the loneliness that had threatened to consume her. Now she was about to receive a certification that most people half her age would find challenging. The ceremony was simple but meaningful. James sat in the front row, his proud, smile warming Emma's heart. Her daughter Elizabeth had flown in, tears of pride glistening in her eyes. The community center, where she had taught countless seniors, was packed with familiar faces. Mr. Thompson, her first computer instructor, presented her with the certification. "Emma Williams," he announced, "you've shown us that learning knows no age. That potential has no limits." The audience erupted in applause. But for Emma, the real victory was the journey, not the piece of paper in her hands. Her workshops had transformed the community. Seniors who once felt isolated now connected with family across the world. The local council had expanded digital literacy programs based on her model. What had started as a personal challenge had become a movement. Mark, from the local newspaper, captured the moment. "From factory worker to digital pioneer," the headline would read. Emma laughed at the description, remembering her first nervous moments in the computer class. During the reception, younger students approached her. They wanted to hear her story, to understand how she had overcome her fears. Emma spoke honestly about her struggles, her moments of doubt, her determination. "Technology isn't about machines," she would tell them. "It's about connection, about staying human in a changing world." Elizabeth pulled her aside. "Mom," she said, "I'm so proud of you. Dad would have loved this." The mention of Robert brought a moment of reflection. He had always believed in her, even when she didn't believe in herself. Now she was living the life of continuous learning he had always encouraged. James approached, with a warm smile. Their friendship had become a cornerstone of Emma's new life. He had been her supporter, her friend, her connection to a world she was still discovering. As the day progressed, Emma thought about her journey. From a lonely widow to a community leader, she had transformed herself. Her computer skills had become a bridge, connecting generations, breaking down barriers, giving hope. The local college offered her a part-time teaching position. "We need someone who understands both technology and human connection," they told her. Emma accepted without hesitation. Her workshops continued now with even more purpose. She wasn't just teaching computer skills. She was teaching life skills, confidence, connection, hope. Whiskers waited at home, a silent witness to her incredible journey. The photograph of Robert watched from the side table, seeming to smile with pride. That night, Emma wrote in her journal. Her hands, once rough from factory work, now moved confidently across the page. She reflected on the lessons she had learned. Age is not a limitation. Learning never stops. Connection matters more than anything. The city outside her window continued, its rhythm, but inside Emma had found her peace, her purpose, her new chapter. As she prepared for bed, she realized something profound. Her story wasn't just about her. It was about every person who had ever felt left behind, who had ever thought it was too late to start again. Life, Emma whispered to herself, is about rising. Always rising. The end note. This part is written in approximately 800 words, using simple and basic English, in a third-person narrative style. It focuses on Emma receiving her digital literacy certification and reflecting on her transformative journey.